Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our very first gala, A Night Under the Sky. Thank you. Seeing you all here tonight really, truly fills my heart. You could have spent this evening anywhere else, but you chose to be here to listen, to care, and to stand with people who are so often unseen. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. People sometimes assume 3,000 acts of kindness began with a big dream or a strategic plan, but it really began with a very personal struggle in my heart. Years ago, I was downtown when a man experiencing homelessness stopped me and asked me for money. He told me he was hungry, and I believed him. I handed him some cash and walked away, and felt good that I had helped someone get something to eat. A few minutes later, I realized I'd forgotten something and had to walk back down that same street. There he was, surrounded by friends, counting a wad of money. I was so angry. I felt anger rushed in. I walked up to him and asked him for my money back, and he actually gave it to me. But what he walked away with that day wasn't just what he walked away with wasn't just my money. He left me with a hardened heart. Because at that moment, I decided I would never help anybody experiencing homelessness again. Then, as God so often does, he lovingly came after my heart. A few weeks later, I was sitting at an outdoor cafe when another man experiencing homelessness approached me. He said, "Ma'am, I'm hungry. Could you spare some money?" Same line, different person. And immediately, everything in me wanted to say no. I remembered the first man. I remembered my anger. I remembered how foolish I felt. But then, in the quiet of my spirit, I heard the Holy Spirit say, "Give it to him." So I did. Later, as I walked back to my car, I saw that same man again, this time with grocery bags in his arms. He had done exactly what he said he would do. In that moment, God gently broke me. He reminded me that it was never my job to judge every story or weigh every motive. My calling was to obey and to love. I had lost compassion. That day, the man experiencing homelessness and I were both blessed. That man was able to eat and knew someone cared for him, and I was blessed because my heart was restored to be more like the heart of Jesus, with empathy and compassion for those he loves. Not long after that, I asked my friend Val to start what would become Coated in Love. We began simply gathering coats, offering small acts of kindness, trying to be faithful with what God put in front of us. Then, about 10 years later, as I was driving, God spoke clearly to my heart again. He said he wanted me to introduce and reintroduce people experiencing homelessness to him. In other words, Jesus wanted to make sure they were seen and that they knew they were loved by him. That moment is when 3,000 Acts of Kindness was born. And so I'm just going to pause here. Coated in Love is the nonprofit. 3,000 Acts of Kindness is the event that the nonprofit puts on. At 3,000 Acts of Kindness, we make sure our guests experiencing homelessness have access to coats, boots, hygiene kits, sleeping bags, lunch, complimentary haircuts. We wash feet. Our guests have access to over 80 social service agencies and so much more. But most importantly, we share the love of Christ through praying with people, offering Bibles, and all with kindness, love, and dignity. We held our first event at the Minneapolis Convention Center with trembling hands and simple faith. We didn't know who would come or how it would all work, but God knew. Last year we celebrated our 5th anniversary, and to this day we have been able to serve over 10,000 people experiencing homelessness. I didn't build this alone. God surrounded me with a beautiful board, faithful volunteers, and generous donors. Together, we spend the whole year planning one day, one where thousands of people are treated with dignity, kindness, and reminded that they matter. Tonight, you will hear from a couple of our guests. You'll see video from our 3,000 Acts of Kindness events throughout the years. You will see real faces, hear real stories, and catch a glimpse of how far a coat, a pair of boots, a haircut, a prayer, and a listening ear can really go. This night is not just about raising money. It's about raising our awareness and softening our hearts. It's about remembering that behind every label, like homeless, is a person with a story, with a name, and with a deep longing to be seen and loved. Thank you for being here. Thank you for lending your hearts, your presence, and your kindness. My prayer is that as we spend this evening together, you will leave knowing deep in your soul that kindness really can change a life. It changed mine. Thank you. Enjoy your dinner.